the deck that I am about to show you will be absolutely insane since it can survive the entire meta against Gyarados, against Celebi, against Mewtwo EX, so I guess that you can always play around those decks with the one that I have to showcase to you. So without any further ado now, let's dive into today's content. Straight into deck reveal as we're kicking off the first battle. So you're already seeing that we're having a couple of Dragons on our hand, and most of the times you want to play around that. With Dragon you can have a complete tank that can survive the hits and also can provide back at your opponent some extra pressure with its rough skin, dealing 20 damage every single time it is touched. So I guess that it is a perfect Pokemon in this meta for some stalling options for any deck, but with Golem around you definitely need that extra time to build it up much easier and much more effective. Having a couple of those Dragons means that you might actually have the upper hand over your opponents when they use something like a Sabrina or so that you can counter that strategy as well. So over here now I'm just gonna get my hand on Hitmonlee, and you can already tell that Leaf is a must have on this deck because it provides some extra assistance to your backline, since you can withdraw your Dragon without spending any energy on it. So with Hitmonlee now you can do some extra pressure on your opponent as you are charging up your Golem, but since we do not even have a Geodude on our hand, we'll just keep going at it with extra pressure from our Hitmonlee. So my opponent here goes for another, for a Sabrina actually, and we have another Leaf on our hand. Well, this is actually a pretty good instance for us because not only we can still switch out on our Dragon, but also we have another one coming into play. So at this point I'm thinking that if they have another Sabrina, we can somehow have the upper hand. So Hitmonlee now goes for the stretch kick to knock out Abra, and I'm pretty sure that my opponent was not expecting this. So with this deck, with Hitmonlee around, not only you can count on your Dragons and Hitmonlee to take the hits, but also you can use Hitmonlee to destroy the early strategy that your opponent is having. So Golem is the perfect deck, I guess, for those Gyarados EX decks, because not only you can one-shot Magikarps, but also you can survive the 140 damage with your Golem, which is insane. Now I'm having access on Professor's Research, I can get a couple of more hands on my hand, and obviously Pokeball here will bring me finally a Geodude into play. So it is my turn now to start charging up my Geodude, and my opponent is having a rough time over here. I guess that this is an Alakazam deck, not a Mewtwo Mew EX deck, so I will just gonna keep going at it with my Dragon, and of course with Geodude around we can also charge up this Pokemon. Now we can also go for the Graveler, and I think that the next turn we can bring a healthy Golem into the fight. So let's see though what happens, because we are one energy behind, and since leaves are both out of the way, we cannot switch out immediately for our Golem. So this Gardevoir is having so much energy, definitely a bad hand for my opponent. And now they have the Hypno with the Pendulum going against my Dragon, I guess, but it doesn't matter at all. Whatever happens, it happens. So Hypno now goes for the coin flip, and whatever it does, I don't care at all. Dragon will still stay in as it seems one extra turn. So at this point I think that we need to play around our Golem finally, gonna bring it into play, and you might have already noticed that I'm having a Geodude that is not from the mythical set, from the mythical island set, because I'm having the Geodude from the first sets, and this mainly because it has one energy to throw its move and it's much more effective than the other Geodude. For Graveler I'm using the new one, and Golem of course the new Golem as well, because you need that extra effect on its move. So a couple of Brocks is definitely a must have on this deck, not the Holo Brocks like I have over here, but of course you can use the regular one as well. I think that Marshadow is gonna be an effective Pokemon as well, especially when you're building up your backline, so that you can have some extra pressure on your opponent. when they finally destroy down your Dragon, they will be already hurt, so Marshadow can emerge like a perfect anti-Pokemon to finish off your opponent, since they are gonna be dropped around 100 HP. Now with that Alakazam getting to the Psychic, we get so much damage, but we barely survive, and I'm not that good in math, so I was not sure if I could survive or not after all those energies applied, but we still survived, and now Alakazam is out of the way and we grab the first victory for today's content. Now let's get into the next battle, as we're gonna be using the exact same deck, not only me but also my opponent. So this is gonna be an interesting one, because I'm not seeing a lot of Golems deck, and that was actually the first incident that I saw a Golem on my opposing side. And right here I'm just gonna keep going at it with Dragon on the lead, and I will try to do something weird by evolving my Geodude later on, but they have a Hitmonlee, and that can absolutely counter my Dragon. It will not touch it at all, and also I'm gonna have a bad time over here since they are charging up their Geodude and Marshadow at the same time. So I'm getting some extra damage on the Geodude, and now with Professor's Research I will just draw some extra cards. This is absolutely wonderful because we drew a Hitmonlee, and perhaps we can get the chance now to bring it into fight. But I make a horrible mistake here by getting the energy on that Graveler. Perhaps I should have gotten 2 Leaf at some point and then bring my Hitmonlee into the game, but only time will tell if we were right on the matter. So anyways, now getting now their Graveler some extra energy makes me think that they might have the advantage overall if they have a couple of Brocs over there. So another energy on my Graveler. I'm not sure what I'm thinking here. I should have gotten 2 my Leaf no matter what and bring Hitmonlee into the game to start applying some extra pressure on my opponent, but they also get on their own Hitmonlee, so they get some extra work on my Golem. This can be absolutely horrible for me if I'm not careful over here. So I'm having my Golem kinda hurt at this point, and I do not like that at all. Another stretch kick to bring me below 100 HP, and this means that we might be in a pickle. So Leaf has to come around now. I'm gonna come into the battle, I guess, with my Golem, do whatever amount of damage I can on that Hitmonlee and finish it off. Hopefully their Golem has not the correct amount of energy yet, and we can hope that Marshadow will not finish us off with a one-shot. So down goes Hitmonlee, we go to 1 price point, and now Marshadow is definitely gonna deal 100 damage on my Golem, but hopefully after we used our move we can survive, since we can reduce the damage by 30. This is huge right now. This is a very close battle. Geodude going in with extra energy. Perhaps we can build another Golem on this incident, and we managed to finish off Marshadow as well. I'm telling you, this deck is no joke at all and has answers even up against Gyarados and Celebi, which is pretty crazy coming off a rock type Pokemon, right? So here comes now another Graveler from my opponent, and they go for the Sabrina. This is huge. Now we can bring our Dragon, I guess, into the battle, but for some reason I go with Hitmonlee. This is definitely a mistake. You want to go ahead and throw your Dragon in there, since you can provide some extra pressure on your opponent with its rough skin. But yes, again, the reason I did it is because I wanted to retreat my Hitmonlee by costing only 1 energy, so that's why I did that. So now by getting extra damage on the Golem, I'm not that much afraid, because they cannot reach to a single charge attack unless they have something like a Brock. But since they're getting to the Leaf, I guess that the next Golem is coming into the game, and they just want to stall even more. They have 2 Golems in total, we have only 1, and we got the Professor's Research, which can be kinda good for us, but at the same time perhaps Giovanni could have been a better option. Anyways, now we draw Marshadow, and even though Marshadow was not showcased in today's content that much, I'm pretty sure you are gonna not regret using it on your own decks, because it is a super good Pokemon that can answer back at your opponents with full damage. So that is gonna be all for today. As you saw, we won once again. This is a crazy deck that you need to try out no matter what. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you all into the next one.